money on MMA? Let be. You want to know who to put it in your parlay? Let be. You want to know our DraftKings stay away? Let be. So, who has the Leslie Smith underdog pick? Who was the Mexican dude and the lesbian chick? Everybody say you mean. Lesbo and The Bean. Who's that out there living their dream? Lesbo and The Bean. Who's that still smoking on the green? Lesbo
and The Bean. Welcome back. Breakdown show coming right at you.
Breakdown show.
So this is definitely breaking up from our usual model. We usually try to cram everything into one episode, and we're going to split it up, see how it kind of goes. We definitely appreciate all the listens we're getting into all our shows, and it is accumulating, so
I love it.
The only news from our last show that I could really think of that came up was Till versus Thompson, which I believe you were saying last show was the only fight you really wanted to see, was signed, but then you were saying that apparently it's off again, right?
So the Till's team's all for it, 100%. UFC's all for it. They wanted to do it over in Till's hometown, and apparently what I've heard, and murmurings, it could be true or untrue, Stephen Thompson's team is no. Maybe a little smarter than Cowboys' team, where they're like, why do we want to fight this Merker who's 8 rows back from us?
What was the dates that they were projecting these?
I feel like it's in February sometime, because the other thing about the whole is that February card was supposed to be our Florida card in Orlando, and we've been waiting a while. We haven't had a Florida card in over a year.
Agreed.
So we needed this card. We were excited about it, and Till wants to fight in his hometown, so it looks like our card got canceled. I'm kind of unsure about the whole thing.
They probably have kept the card. They just probably are having a TBD for the main event, and they probably have a lot of guys on standby like, hey, you know you're coming up on this card, don't say anything yet. Like, there's probably a big American top team influence, but other than that, any other news that has been in that came up that kind of was any other fight signings?
I guess only Joanna acting a little crazy.
Everybody's going to deal with the loss differently. It's her way of dealing with it. I think it's better than the way Ronda dealt with it, leaps and bounds, and I would say other people, but interesting how these mentally strong people react when they get rattled a little bit. This is just something that you don't see often, so definitely pay attention. Really interested to see what the comeback is on her next fight, whether it's going to be Rose or whoever it may be. But apparently they're already rumoring Andrade.
Are you ready for a hot off the presses? It's going to be a disappointing hot off the presses.
All right, let me hear it.
Dominic Cruz out of 219 fight with Jimmy Rivera.
Yeah, not that surprised. Again, Dominic Cruz is out of a lot of fights due to injuries. Probably some sort of fasciated tendonitis.
Here's my question. Is he out because of injuries, or is he out because Dillashaw Cruz isn't a bad rematch? Dillashaw Garbrandt's not a bad rematch.
Cruz was saying, so now he's out of the Cruz
Jimmy being up there. Yeah, Jimmy's not worth it. We love him, but he ain't in the mix.
He has a fight with TJ easily lined up.
TJ or Garbrandt?
I'd say TJ first because TJ has a belt, so it'd make more sense to fight TJ because you have a win over him.
Yeah, they just don't have the backstory as much as
it was a
Garbrandt with Dominic. They just, it was a split. I actually didn't even think Dom won that fight originally.
I agree with that 100%, but what I'm saying is that Dom will not fight Cody again because he lost if he doesn't have the belt. He'll fight whoever has the belt, and he does have enough of it. Like, it's TJ, but TJ's been talking about that DJ.
But I think right now, Dom and Cody would both be off of one loss. Because Dom hasn't fought since he lost to Cody.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I still am liking the Uriah Faber TJ Dillashaw. Even though I think Dillashaw wins all day.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Dillashaw wins all day.
Competitive.
I just think it's funny. Like it's an interesting one. But yeah, that's a bummer. I was actually looking, out of this whole mix, Jimmy Rivera is a badass. And I was actually looking forward to Dominic Cruz going against such a tough competitor.
Yeah, I think Dominic Cruz was going to be the underdog in that fight.
Do you? I thought we would have been Schlick. I thought Jimmy Rivera might have been a good Leslie Smith underdog pick for us.
From what I've been hearing, a lot of people were like, ooh, I was ready to have Rivera all over.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought we were going to be Schlick with that.
Yeah. Once you figure out the champ, it's easier. Everyone says, "Oh, I see all those holes. Oh, Joanna's always been open for that right or for that left hand." Fuck you, asshole. Why didn't you call that beforehand? Been reading articles like that. Like, yeah, of course you guys didn't see it. Yeah, fuck you guys. You guys didn't see it either.
You know, and everyone, you don't see any videos coming out slaying the king when Joanna was champion. There was no videos breaking down of how you beat her.
I would agree with that. The only thing that I do have to refute with that is that I listened to the podcast of Jack Slack, who writes those articles, and he specifically talked about that he wasn't doing the killing the king or queens anymore because there wasn't the long retention of the belt. Yes, reign of the belt. Where he used to have guys that were having 6-7 fights, and he could be like, okay, they really are a king. Where now Cody was the king for a fight.
Yeah, I don't even mean like actually his articles. I just mean anyone.
In general.
Usually everyone's like, you know, oh, GSP, he doesn't like to be hit, even if you take a guy greatest of all time. Right. Oh, Connor, he has no ground game. He doesn't want to go in there against a ground specialist. But no one was saying anything about Joanna. They were like, oh, she can get up quicker than anyone. More punches, walk. It's really crazy, though, when you look at the Joanna Rose fight, how similar it was to the GSP Bisping fight.
The TJ
and
Cody,
you're right. They were all hooks. Really
they were all
similar
hooks. They were
fights.
all set up with hooks, and they were all either ground and pound or finished. That submission, which I don't think we did talk about on the last cast, was all fucking credit to Michael Bisping. He did not tap. He went out on his shield, and he said it like people have been saying, "Good job for not tapping," and he's like, "Fuck you guys. I went to sleep in front of the world." Like. It wasn't just because I didn't want to. I'd much rather made him go to sleep. So he doesn't take it as a pat on the back. He's just like, you guys just don't get it. Which either way, badass mofo, Michael Bisping. Not too many people.
He was a good champion.
Yeah, agreed. He didn't tap due to to submission. He didn't tap.
He was fun, but I think something's changed in me too. And maybe it's a new time in the world. Like Rose. You can be a good champion if it's all there. You can be a sweet person. And, you know, GSP, kind of the same thing. Yeah. And TJ didn't really murmur. He's kind of a prick, but he didn't really go at Cody. He tried to keep it clean. He only went at Cody when Cody hit back.
To move on.
So maybe we're in a new era of champion. Maybe Connor absorbed what could be absorbed of that. And maybe we're seeing a new... People are trying to find the next shtick.
Did you listen to Randy Brown on the Hawani show at all this?
No.
Oh, he was saying essentially the same thing. Kind of like, hey, I think people are starting to do the Connor thing. But what they don't realize, and people have told Randy Brown, who had a great showing over the weekend, Mickey Gall, his opponent specifically, was doing kind of that Connor shtick. And he's like... What those guys don't get is they're getting in over their head because they're talking out of their lane, and that's Connor's path, not yours. You do you. I do me. He does him. But don't copy someone else because you're going to bite off more than you can chew, and that's what he said that Mickey did. And I was like, that's a really good analysis of the entire situation.
Well, that's what they tell people in Hollywood. If you are being authentically you,
right,
you're the only one out there. But if you are trying to be fake in any aspect of your personality, there's 100 of you walking around.
Agree. Yeah, that's a great point. And that's why you hear it all authentically here at Lesbo and The Bean.
Now let's break it down.
Getting down to that breakdown, we have a 13-fight card coming up for you out of Norfolk, Virginia. We have UFC Fight Night 120. This is a 13-card bout, and this is going to begin on Fight Pass. End up finishing on FS1, so if you know what I'm talking about, it's going to be BT Sports 2 the entire stream. First fight of the night, we have Carl Robinson at a middleweight, 185 pounds versus Darren Stewart. This is the debut 5-0 fighter for Carl Robertson. He's definitely trained in more of a kickboxing style. He was a professional kickboxer and has only he's an undefeated MMA fighter. His striking's definitely got him where he needs to be. Takedown defense hasn't been the best due to the fact of the competition not being that far, but luckily for him and his opponent, he has a fade all day for me. I feel like I liked some of Stewart's stuff initially, and he could never get over that hump of gas tank, and that's his biggest flaw. It shows in every single one of his fights, and this one has the potential of not showing as much because Robertson is a debut 5-0 MMA fighter. Both of these fighters are coming in at Robertson 6 foot, Stewart 5'10", with a even reach at 74 inches. I really am on the lap B side of this completely, which is stay away from that first fight of the night.
Stay away from it all day. I couldn't agree with you
Stewart doesn't have a chin, doesn't have a gas tank,
almost don't even want to give
skills.
my prediction on this fight because I don't want to.
It's such a bad fight.
It's so gross.
Yeah, this is probably the most disgusting fight of the night, and I have Robertson TKO round 2 only because I hate Stewart
exactly
so
what
much.
I have.
But I'm not saying, even with that TKO, I would usually put it all over stuff. Not so much with this one.
This brand new guy is only number 3 ranked in like a portion of the United States. Not even the whole United States, just a portion. So I don't know enough about him to know that he's not going in against a monster. Darren Stewart's never shown me anything to make me want to put any of my cards weight on him. So I'll stay away from this, even though I have Robertson KO round 2, and I really believe Robertson KO round 1. I would put Robertson KO round 3 just to remind me to not put him on anything.
Right.
But yeah, that's how I feel about
Yeah,
this.
so definitely this is a veteran move on lap B. Stay away from that first fight of the night. You got more plays to make money. If you're going to gamble, I think Robertson's the more likely finish ability. Ugh, that ground game has been scary. On DK, our DK lines, have they been out this week?
Oh, I'm sure they have. I can check it out while you're getting into that
So,
next fight. I'll
moving
pull up
on
them
to the
DK
next
lines.
fight, we have Marcel Fortuna versus Jay Collier at light heavyweight, 205 pounds. Both of these fighters have fought in the UFC. Collier being speckled, win one, lose one, win one, lose one for his last 5 fights, losing to people like Vitor Miranda and, as of late, Devin Clark in a decision. Prior to that, Collier beat Alberto Uda, and Fortuna's also coming off of a speckled UFC record, being 9-2, losing his Ultimate Fighter decision against Corey Hendricks, but then coming back and beating, I believe he had a semi-big upset against Anthony Hamilton, the Chinless Wonder, in a TKO at heavyweight. So he moved up for that fight, and then as of late, losing.
I had Fortuna as a huge underdog on that. I feel like I made money off Fortuna, but then it cost me in his next fight because I was on such a Fortuna high.
He's gonna be
I'm
a monster.
like, yeah! And I lost money on him, so I'm even on Fortuna right now.
So both of these fighters are coming in over 6 foot. Fortuna being 6'1", Collier 6'3". The reach advantage also goes to Collier with 4.5 inches at 78 inches for Collier. Collier fighting out of Missouri, fighting out of No Excuses MMA, to Fortuna's Ralph Gracie gym out of Brazil. He's fighting out of California. Being 32 years old, Fortuna, to Collier's 29. The wrestling comes in for Collier. He has a diverse striking. I really have liked what I've seen with Collier coming together with his striking much, much better. He, I believe, fought at 85 for a while, and I feel like he's moving up in weight to help potentially help his chin. But I think his chin is so bad that even the weight isn't going to matter. And unfortunately for him, Fortuna is a heavy-handed fighter who can get out-wrestled on the ground.
Right now on DraftKings, Robertson, the last fight, Robertson's 8-8 and Stewart is 7-4. So, yeah, no one's seen anything. Everybody's seeing the same thing. But do you put that 8-8 on first fight of the night? No, you don't.
Yeah,
no, you don't.
Yeah, good call, debut fighter.
Back to this one. So the Fortuna, he's 8-6 to Collier's 7-6.
So that's because Collier has no chin again, as I'm saying. Everybody's seeing that, and I feel like also on Tapology, Fortuna's a heavy favorite. Collier's avenue to win this fight is going to be in his wrestling, and Collier has actually pretty good fundamental wrestling. It's just that his gas tank and his chin is so bad that he can't implement it. People will eventually get up to him later in the rounds. I feel like Miranda ended up doing something like that to him, where Miranda should not be in the UFC, but that might have been at 185 pounds as well. You know how I'm already talking about this. I got Fortuna TKO round 1. I just can't trust the chin of Collier. I'm not putting Fortuna on too much. He's still, there's avenues of beating against him, and the wrestling is there for Collier. It's just whether that chin can make it. to go around one Fortuna. What do you think goes on in this one?
I think this is an exciting first minute, and then it is a boring next 10 minutes. So toward the end of round 2, beginning of round 3, I think Fortuna will clip Collier and not even realize he did it, and this fight will be over. I think I agree. It's Fortuna KO round 3, but I will not put this too many, maybe on 1 or 2 right now. 8-6 for Fortuna.
But you're also seeing Collier nowhere.
Never, not a card. Even at 7-6, he won't even be the one like, oh, if I put Collier, I can afford the meats.
Agreed with that. So if you're thinking, oh, his wrestling's going to get you point, when he wrestles people, it's one takedown and he stays on top of you, which doesn't accumulate points. So moving on to the next fight, we're going to the welterweights, Sean Strickland versus Court McGee. These are also 2 veterans of the sport now in the UFC. Court McGee coming off with an 18-6 record, to Sean Strickland's 18-2 record, only 2 losses coming in the UFC to Santiago Ponzinibbio in a decision over 2 years ago, and as of late, losing a decision to Kamaru Usman. If you've been listening to this show for any amount of time, you definitely know the Bean's been all over Strickland for a long, long time. Very well-rounded fighter. Nickname is Tarzan because he's an incredibly strong grappler. Strickland's coming in, the younger fighter, 26, to the hard 32 years of Court McGee. Court McGee has also died from a heroin overdose and been homeless and all sorts of... Court McGee's had a tough life, and back in the day, those type of trials and tribulations would really help you get to the next level, but now these guys are athletic and have the will to want to win. So I think that Court McGee's a dying breed in the sport. Court McGee's also going to be the shorter fighter at 5'11", to Strickland's 6'1", only having a half-inch reach disadvantage is Court McGee to Strickland's 76 inches. As I was saying before, Strickland has good striking, and it is powerful striking. He hurts his opponents when he hits them. Ask any one of the fighters that have ever taken a punch from Strickland. They say, damn, for a gangly guy, that dude hits hard. His ground credentials, even though at times they look very... weak, not even weak, but open.
Rudimentary.
Right. He uses muscle to help move into those positions, but essentially the basics are there for him, and he really has put grapplers to shame on the ground. Court McGee is all heart. He's got a chin he's got a steel trap for a freaking chin. It's all that beard hair that keeps it there. He's been to the other side, so you can't knock him out because he walks on that other side every other day. But unfortunately for Court McGee, I feel like he's too slow. Rudimentary striking. His wrestling usually gets him there. The takedown defense for Strickland is way too good, and he doesn't want to go to the ground with him. The only way Court McGee wins this is a decision, but again, I got Strickland. Heavy favorite, submission round 2. I just think he beats him up for the whole first round of Court McGee gives up and soon retires from the sport. I just haven't liked what I've seen of him as of late.
You're so right. Both these fighters, and we see a couple of other, Court McGee, the guys that are in his category are, to me at this point, are like the Brad Pickett's, maybe even the Joe Lozans, maybe even there's these hardcore group of guys that just have tons and tons of heart. So yeah, can they still fight? Can they still put in a grind? Can they still fill in a prelim card? Yes. Then you have this whole other group of guys that is, I think, kind of like a lot like James Vick, a lot like a Sean Strickland, a lot like these understated, lanky, they don't look super strong or really intimidating, but they're slowly building up records, and their losses that looked bad at the time, now as time progresses, when you see a loss to, Court McGee to the Ponzinibbio, you're like, fight fans know Ponzinibbio's a monster, so we don't count that.
Strickland to Ponzinibbio.
Oh, was it Strickland to Ponzinibbio?
Yeah, I think actually they might have a
shared... Oh, they both have a loss to Ponzinibbio.
Yeah.
Even though more so for Strickland. When you look at Strickland's record and you're like, okay, he has these 2 losses of recent in the last 5 fights, and one's to Ponzinibbio and one's to Usman. You and me are like, those are 2 of the best fighters in the division.
Exactly.
So when the 25, 26-year-old Strickland lost to those 2 guys, I'm like, oh, Strickland's one to watch for the next few years.
Oh, yeah.
So I agree with you in every way. Right now, I just have Strickland decision, not because I don't believe he doesn't have the skill set to knock out Court McGee, not because I don't think he has the power to knock him out or the skill to take him down and submit him. I think all those can happen. Strickland will finish or will win this fight guaranteed. It's really just how much heart's Court McGee going to have tonight. Is he going to stay in there until the decision loss? Is he going to get submitted?
I
Is he
don't
going to
think
get
it
knocked
happens.
out? But I agree with you. I don't think he wins.
Yeah.
I think his heart is just how long does he
Does
stay?
he take a beating
Yeah.
for?
So I think you have Strickland everywhere. I think you put Strickland on every card.
That's what are his DK prices? I was about to ask.
Strickland is 8-7 and Court McGee is 7-5. So we are not telling anyone any secrets.
I think that's a value all day still. If he's not the maxed out, there's still people above Strickland.
I think I'm going to put Strickland right now on the Lesbo and The Bean card. Something that I want to start working out. I think right after our shows, I want to have one card that we're like, here's our Lat B combined picks of the thing and see if we can make a card for the $1 for DK.
Well, let's see how that works out.
Are you okay with me putting Strickland for 8-7 on our card?
All day. I've been
we're on it.
Strickland Dick Rider from the get-go. I've always been also writing that he changed his name from Tarzan to Propane.
You have always said it.
The whole time. It just, everything fits. His fight style, Propane. Done. Like, what else do you need? Come on.
It drives you crazy.
It's like
Tarzan, Misha Tate being Cupcake, and I just want to... Misha, will you just be my girl?
Yeah, right.
Misha, my girl, Tate. Everyone feels like, Misha, that's my girl. Every MMA fan is like, Misha's my girl. She should change her name. But, yeah, Propane, you always talk about that with Strickland.
All right, so moving on to a strawweight lady fight at 115 pounds. We have Angela Hill versus Nina Asneroff.
There's a lot to say about this fight.
Oh, there's a ton, and we definitely got a long way to go. 7-3 for Angela Hill coming off the UFC Ultimate Fighter, being checkered in her UFC, coming back already from Invicta being the champion there. And once she came back, she ended up beating Ashley Yoder, who I believe she came back and actually lost to, who was it, Andrade, in a decision, which doesn't look as bad as later. But Nina Asneroff, 7-5, coming out of Fort Lauderdale, being the older fighter at 31 years old to Angela Hill's 29. Asneroff, I feel like, biggest claim to fame is that she's Amanda Nunes' girl.
I agree.
Like, that is... She's got sound wrestling. I really like what I see with Asneroff is wrestling and the way she moves. I really remember looking at that Lieberger fight, the submission, and liking the way that Asneroff moved for that finish. She was very composed. Prior to
that was by far leaps and bounds better than any other fight she ever had.
I would agree, because of 2 fights prior to that, she was on a 2-fight losing streak. She ended up just not looking that good. So again, she's really gotten back to her wrestling, but Angela Hill's takedown defense has gotten leaps and bounds better, as we were saying Asneroff has. So striking-wise, Asneroff is much more of a plodding forward, not many angles, pump fists, and limited head movement. Angela Hill's head movement is better, not the best I've seen out there, but her angles are better with her strikes, and it's really been coming along now that she has more confidence in her takedown defense and has better takedown defense. We've really been seeing the striking come along for Angela Hill. The taller fighter in this fight is going to be Asneroff at 5'5" to Angela Hill's 5'3". There's only a half-inch reach advantage for Asneroff at 65 inches to 64.5 for Angela Hill. Again, it's going to be the takedown defense. I'm liking Hill's takedown defense. Asneroff can win a nasty split decision here just with a lot of keeping Angela Hill up to the fence. This has the potential of being fight of the night or snoozer of the night.
It's one or the way.
It's one or the other. Yeah. I could see a lot of clinch work from Asneroff, just limiting a lot of that striking that Hill's going to want to get.
Can I tell you the
ground.
price on DK?
Yeah, please.
Angela Hill 9,000. Asneroff 7.2.
Okay, the value's in Asneroff.
I totally
The value's
agree.
there in Asneroff. That's too big of a gap for Angela Hill.
Angela Hill's done nothing in her career, even points-wise, to deserve 9.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
A win by decision isn't worth 9,000 points on DraftKings.
All day, and that's where the decision... Yeah, and Asneroff has been putting together much better gas tank and have much better...
And you got to think she's rolling around and watching tape in her off time with the champion of a higher weight class.
Right.
All the time. All the time. And one of your favorite teams coming from there.
ATT, baby.
You know, Angela Hill, when the Tough House finished, she was my favorite fighter off the show.
Mm-hmm.
And look at how many monsters now looking back came off that show.
Oh, I know. I knew it then.
She was one of my favorite fighters.
And she has that potential.
She kind of dudded out in UFC. She goes over to Invicta. She does good, wins her fights. Comes back over to UFC. I gotta be honest. I feel like she just hasn't done anything to make. She hasn't put flame around her that I'm watching her come through a division like a Jessica Andrade or a Carla Esparza. Fuck Carla Esparza. Why did I say? I didn't mean that. I meant who just lost to Jessica Andrade. Or who's the hottie? Gadelia. Claudia Gadelia. She's cute, right?
Yeah.
She's really cute.
I really like her smile. She's got a mole that's, she's good looking.
So, Angela Hill just doesn't have that flame attached to her. And I think that the hype train behind Azarnoff, she's of the right age for a chick for me. She's at the right camp. She's taking her fights in the right distance apart. Angela Hill's an underperformer always.
That's a good call.
Always. I got to think Azarnoff, if it's going to come together for her ever, it's going to be this fight. Otherwise, she's kind of like, what's the Russian hammer's name? Lobov. She becomes the Lobov to her partner that he is to McGregor. So it's crazy. I'm going to put Azarnoff decision right now.
I'm actually going Hill decision, but I'm saying a split decision, which means that can go to Azarnoff. I don't feel confident in this fight either way, especially for the odds that they're giving. This is a stay away. This is just a watch. Watch both of these fighters. They're going to have multiple fights in the UFC. They ain't going anywhere in this division. This is, again, could be really exciting. I'm leaning more it's going to turn into a point fight or a lot of just...
And Azarnoff's gotten better on the ground.
Yep.
Ugh. I think she's a lot more dangerous than 7-2, and I might not even put her a decision on this, except for she's so cheap. 7-2, right now I'm saying Azarnoff is the one you put on your card so you can fill it with monsters.
With a little bit of heavier guys.
But I don't see any value in Angela Hill at 9,000.
Depending on how far we get and who else we pick, we'll definitely see if Azarnoff has the value play. She's on the wager gauger.
I'm going to put her on there right now just to see what we can afford. We can always adjust.
Okay, we're moving with that one. We're definitely growing and evolving.
We both say no value in Angela Hill.
Nope. There's no way. She's not going to finish in the first round. It's just not her style. Moving on to the next fight, we have Super Sage Northcutt coming in against Miguel Quiñones, El Chapo himself, apparently. So, Quiñones coming in with an 8-2 record to Super Sage's 8-2 record. Sage Northcutt has only lost his 2 fights in the UFC. Quiñones has 1 loss out of the organization and 1 loss in his last debut against Jared Gordon, which Gordon all of a sudden looks a little bit better than we initially thought. So Quiñones lost by a ground and pound TKO 4 months ago, and Super Sage is coming off of a loss as well to Mickey Gall's submission 10 months ago. Speckled in there, Northcutt has a win over Marin and also Cody Pfister and Trujillo, guys that are out of the organization. And his losses have come to Barberina and, again, as I said, Mickey Gall. So the taller fighter is going to be Northcutt at 6 foot to Quiñones 5'10" with 1.5-inch reach going to Super Sage at 74.5 inches. Sage Northcutt's coming in with that karate style. He's definitely a super athlete. What he's been doing as of late is making a gym change with Alpha Male. I absolutely love Alpha Male. A lot of people do. They got a lot of weird stuff going on, though, right now because of these fights. So I want to know how that affects their training, because Uriah specifically talked about it like, oh, we heard about this stuff coming up and we just didn't tell the 2 guys fighting because we don't want to mess with them. But it affects their whole gym. And Super Sage is apparently looking for a house to buy in San Diego, and it has been his main gym. So what we know is going to come from Alpha Male training. Gas tank, overhand right, takedowns. Those are the 3 things that a fighter gets better at when they go to Alpha Male. The scrambling as well, but I'll just put that into wrestling in general. So those are definitely what Northcutt was
number 1
missing
weaknesses.
in gas tank and wrestling. Overhand right, he's always had unique striking that has been semi-powerful, but he's definitely moving back down to 155 pounds. He fought his last fight at 170, and he is a ball of muscle. A lot of people see this fight being a setup for Quiñones to just get Northcutt back on that winning train, because he was fighting in his second fight for 40-40, where most fighters are fighting for a 2000 and 2000 or 5-5. So Northcutt has definitely been on WME's good side. They've sent him out to a lot of things.
I guarantee you they're his agent as well, not just for this.
Yep.
And that's the other reason he's moving out to San Diego, because he's probably going to be going to auditions and stuff soon.
So actually, with the auditions, he did just audition for Creed 2.
Yeah, look at that. You don't move out to Los Angeles and get a house there unless you're looking for
and the way that he looks with his riblets and his 18-pack.
He looks like a Kindle.
Actually, he applied for the very best role, and we can get this Twitterverse out there, post it out there, get the director. If he could be Ivan Drago's son against Apollo Creed's son, that's the perfect fucking story. All of it plays.
Did you just make that up right now?
No, that's what he auditioned for.
Shit, I was about to give you the maddest props.
No, that's the he talked about it. He auditioned.
You just made the best storyline ever. Northcutt
gave
you all the props in the world.
No, I heard it on the MMA Hour.
Bean Fight movies.
Northcutt said he just auditioned for that. People told him, and they thought he'd play the perfect role. And I think, yes, that is Ivan Drago's son.
Bleached out hair, shaved a little bit on the side.
Looks like he's full of juice.
Yeah.
Like,
I will break you.
It would be the perfect, absolute perfect role.
I thought Ivan Drago was in here for a minute.
So, the B-side to this fight is definitely going to be El Chapo himself. This fighter coming in at 5'10" with a 73-inch reach is 32 years old. Losing, again, his debut against Gordon. He put in a good showing, even though he lost by a TKO. It's just that he also tended to slow down. Striking isn't so developed. What I really like in Quiñones is that he lays it all out on the line. He's live by the sword, die by the sword. So with anybody, it doesn't matter who it is, he can land that punch and all of a sudden his career is going the other way. So I'm not as confident as most people are with Sage. Sage gets hurt in fights. We've seen it multiple times over. He just does tend to blitz people, and he always used to crumble due to the gas tank. I feel like one thing that comes with a gas tank is a better chin. We've seen it multiple times over as well. So I do think this is a setup fight. Quiñones is definitely someone that I hope sticks around, gets another fight. I think he does have the talent to stay in the UFC. Maybe not, though, because if they're putting you in against Northcutt, he's also not the best, but he's been getting better deals.
He got knocked out his last fight by Sage's best shot. And Sage didn't even fight him. But the actual shot that knocked him out was what Sage does perfectly. I think you are so dead on with they are setting this up for a win for Sage.
So I got Northcutt TKO round 1. It's not going everywhere, though. I'm not putting it everywhere, but it is maybe
8-5.
Oh, really?
8-5 is how much
I thought he was going to be 9-2.
I agree. 8-5 right now for Sage, and I do see him finishing this. Even though I'm not a huge Sage fan.
Yeah, agreed.
Quiñones
and Chapo.
7-7. Sage, I did think this is a setup fight, but we have to know what his camp knows. And I've heard the Wolfpack camp before, where Quiñones comes from. I got to think they think too, oh, they're trying to feed me their boy.
Yep.
So you got to think they're preparing for this, you guys. Like, that's the nervous part where I agree. I believe Sage wins this. I think it's a setup fight for him. I don't think you put it everywhere.
Yeah, I don't think you put it everywhere either. And is it just because of the show we came off of, 217, that we're like, upsets are around the corner, guys?
I know, I'm too.
Or does he really have a shot? And I think he really does. Because like I was saying, Quiñones is the type of person that'll be like, I'm losing this round. I don't care. I'm going to lay it all out there. He might get the knockout. So, interesting play. That's going to be a fun fight. I think that could be a fight of the night potentially as well.
I have to give Sage credit. He's not in boring fights.
Good call. Definitely good call.
Give him credit somewhere.
All right, moving on to the next strawweight fight, 115. We're going back to the latest.
So do we want to add Sage to our card, Super Sage Northcutt for 8-5?
Yeah, we both see a finish with that. I think
right now we add him over.
Yeah.
We arrange later.
All right, so we have, again, the strawweight fight, Tatiana Suarez versus Vinay Pereira. And these fighters, Pereira's coming in 13-0, winning her debut 4 months ago against Jamie Moyle. Suarez is 4-0, but she's had multiple other bouts in The Ultimate Fighter. And I don't know if they're
against your favorite. against your favorite Amanda Bobby Cooper.
ABC is her last win, but she was also on The Ultimate Fighter. Suarez was prior to that. Beating Bobby Cooper in a Darce a year and 3 months ago. I think Suarez is coming off of a knee injury, or there was something that happened that's kept her off this long. Perea, or what's her nickname?
Neither.
Suchi?
I don't see nicknames.
Sucuri? Sucuri? Sucuri. Sucuri?
Oh, I see it.
24 years old, the 5'1" fighter is definitely coming in with a 4-inch disadvantage to the 5'5" Suarez, and also having a 3-inch disadvantage is going to be Sucuri. How would you pronounce her last name?
Pereira?
Pereira? I was thinking Pereira. I didn't
Vivian Pereira versus Tatiana Suarez.
So what I really liked with Suarez is, again, her ground game. She's got a lot of finishes. She has good takedowns. Will to win. And striking is coming along. We haven't seen her in so long. Hopefully she's really been working on that. I haven't listened to too much stuff or seen any tape on her to say she's better. So Pereira is striking is definitely her avenue to win this fight. She is fighting out of Brazil, out of the Dragon Combat team. Haven't heard too many of their guys. But what I do remember 4 months ago from Pereira is she had good takedown defense. Her gas tank was lacking, but she was able to grit out the fight anyways. She, even though you could see that it was hurting, it literally hurt for her to sprawl, she was still able to do it and eventually run away with that fight against Moyle. I believe Moyle was a favorite, but she looks like a little tank. Pereira is just all shoulders, looks like a Gedalia, comes at you like a Gedalia in the style of fight, and really uses that pressure aspect. Suarez can lose this fight in a decision because it can stay standing and she can get outstruck, but I do think that Moyle's takedowns were so much garbage compared to Suarez's takedowns that Suarez can get this to the ground if needed, and a lot of other fighters haven't been able to get Pereira down because the caliber is just not there. I have Suarez's decision, but this is a stay away for me all day. I just think that there's value in other players. I think that this is a decision either way. So
I think you stay away all day. I have Suarez decision as well. I don't think either fighters are going to lay too many points. There could really be a finish either way. We have no idea what to expect from either girl, really. Suarez has taken too much time off, but she's so young. As long as she's stayed training now, it's not so... Both fighters are young. We're going to watch both fighters fight forever. I do believe that Pereira is not a natural 115. I think she should be fighting at atom weight or something smaller. Is that 110 atom weight?
There is none.
No, if there were.
If there were, yeah.
Is it atom?
They make it up.
Yeah, I thought there was something flyweight.
Yeah, and then they have like bantam atom, and it depends on where you go.
She needs to be fighting at 110 when she are. It just makes me nervous when I see a fighter weighing 2 pounds under the limit.
She's a little
so
girl,
it makes me think like Suarez could be a 125er going in against this girl. She has a crazy ground game. What I remember of Suarez is she's very Ronda Rousey-esque. And, I don't know if that's... She has a crazy good ground. She has almost good judo tosses.
Yeah.
And I think she could submit this. I think she could submit her. I just don't know her well enough to put my money on her yet. No.
All valid points. I think that all of that definitely makes sense. But the stay away is the value play on that for sure.
Agree. That is the stay away of the day.
There's already a few that we have on here, but what are the prices on both of those fighters on DK, just so that we know? Because there might be a little
listen
value.
to this. Pereira 7,000. Suarez 9,200.
No.
You don't put Suarez on a thing for 9,200.
No.
Who is she for 9,200?
Everyone sees it's the takedown and the ground game because we haven't seen Pereira's ground game, and the stuff we did see back in the day was against, again, not quality
7,000. I almost say you could put Pereira on some cards.
I would think with that, because she can keep it standing longer than people think.
Even if she gets 25 points, if you end up with a bunch of monsters that get 110 or above, that just set your night.
Yeah. We'll definitely see later on once we...
Talking about DraftKings, just so you know again.
All right, so moving on to the next fight. This is the main event preliminary fight, and I can't believe that this is a preliminary fight. This would have been a title contender a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
I agree. This could be the fight of the... This could be a main event on a fight night.
Yeah, on a fight night, if not on a pay-per-view co-main event. Like, this is an amazing fight. John Dodson versus Marlon Moraes at bantamweight, 135 pounds. Both of these fighters, long careers in UFC. Moraes coming in at a 16-5-1 record, and John Dodson coming in at a 19-8. John Dodson being 33 years old to the 29 Moraes. The height advantage, like most, goes to Moraes because Dodson is 5'3", but the reach advantage is only half an inch, with 66.5 inches for Marlon Moraes compared to the 66 for John Dodson. John Dodson's got some monkey arms. He got some long old arms for that little guy. We definitely know what we're getting with both of these fighters, though. They've been fighting for so long that they have a lot of tendencies. Jackson Winklejohn for John Dodson for a long, long time, and the Armory for Moraes. Moraes coming in his debut from his other organizations against Rafael Assunção in a split decision loss. I feel like the UFC did no favors for Marlon Moraes because Rafael Assunção is a top 6, top 7 fighter, and he came in right off the bat with a belt and lost a decision to that. But I think the UFC was kind of just showing everybody, like, hold up, we still got the best fighters in the world. John Dodson coming off of The Ultimate Fighter, being one of the few people to actually finish and stop TJ Dillashaw, coming off of a checkered past in his last 5 fights, winning, losing one, losing to likes of Demetrius Johnson and John Lineker in a split decision a year ago.
That was in Portland, wasn't it?
That was in Portland. That was a fun fight. And then as of late, winning a decision over Eddie Wineland. John Dodson is all speed, overhand right, beats you to the punch, good wrestling, okay takedowns, but is limited. With all of his skills and attributes, his athleticism has got him further than most fighters. Marlon Moraes is the better all-around fighter in this situation to me, because his ground game off of his back and top, Marlon Moraes definitely has the credentials, black belt, X amount of levels over. Moraes' striking, also, I believe it's a very Muay Thai-oriented striking style. He does tend to slow a bit more, and out of the two, he's going to be the slower fighter. John Dodson has a speed advantage over pretty much everybody in the division. With the top competition that Dodson's been fighting at, this isn't a favor they're giving for Moraes at all. John Dodson, coming off a loss to Rafael Assunção, and you're fighting somebody who won their last fight, who did you piss off, Marlon Moraes? Like, for reals. And this is like a top 10 fighter. No way John Dodson isn't in the top 15.
I think this is the fight of the magicians, though. Magic versus the magician. That's pretty crazy.
Oh, that's pretty funny. Oh, I wonder what that type of illusions.
Maybe you gotta get rid of one. I wonder if we're gonna Tiger. It's like David Copperfield versus.
I wonder if one weighs in with a cape.
Or one just poof of smoke and then they turn around and they're there. One throws cards out of their sleeve.
That would be. I was going to say they are going to be in Vegas, but they're not. They're going to be in Virginia. Not. So, all the way around, though, I'm liking Moraes' better all-around skill. But as I was saying before, the athleticism of Dodson gets him really far, and he won't get submitted on the ground because he has that American wrestling style that he ain't going to submit you off of his back anytime, but he's not going to get submitted as easy. I got Dodson decision. I just say still be a little bit wary with this one. I don't think it's going to just score all that much. I think it's going to stay into a kickboxing type of fight. Very little takedowns are going to be involved, and there's going to be a decision to me. That's what I think. What do you think it's on in this one?
It's so back and forth. John Dodson right now is 8-3 on DraftKings. Moraes is 7-9. I think Moraes is longer. At some point, we're going to have to see the magician hit a wall. At some point, at 33-year-old John Dodson, we're going to have to see him lose a step here, and I kind of wonder if this isn't the guy we're going to see it. What I see happening is this being a pretty good back and forth the whole time. Neither guy's really going to want to go down. I think they stifle each other that way. Uh-oh, hold on one sec. I gotta put a plug in. Do we got an extra plug in here?
Right by your feet over there. But yeah, I like what you were saying.
Really, the only advantage, the biggest advantage with Marias to me is the leg kicks. And I haven't seen John Dotson really deal with that. And that makes me really interested. I'm going back and forth on this. I know John Dotson's the light favorite. I have Marias right now, decision.
I could switch. This is a fight that I could switch back and forth on as well.
I'll see how
People are coming in heavy on Dotson,
yeah.
and I don't think that's. I think this is a closer fight, as we're kind of getting to here. Technical difficulties, so.
We're good. We got 21 minutes remaining. I think we can finish the cast by then.
All right.
We're just getting to the main card?
Just getting to the main card. So, this is going to end up moving you over to FS1, and we are starting off the main card with Joe Lauzon versus Clay Guida. This is two of the longest reigning fighters in a long time. I think Lauzon coming off of like one of the initial shows ever, live shows. Clay Guida, I mean, he was old school in the old school days. Clay Guida has been around forever. I think his last job has been the Geico Caveman. Where'd those guys go? Because I always thought it was Clay Guida in those damn things. Caveman.
He had to get back to training.
True. So we know what we're getting with both of these fighters. Both being over 30 years old. Joe Lauzon being 33.
This is the 8-1-8-1 on DraftKings, and it should be.
It should be. So this is 35 years old for Clay Guida. The height advantage is going to be 5'10" for Lauzon to 5'7" for Guida, but the same reach at 70 inches. Lauzon, striking is okay, not tons of power, but really knows how to throw elbows from everywhere, from standing on the ground, on top, or on bottom. Something to always be watching out for Joe Lauzon. And Clay Guida is coming in with that alpha male. He's at team elevation with TJ Dillashaw, but I know he bounces back and forth. At 33-17, Clay Guida is a prototypical wrestler with, again, rudimentary striking. Never going to knock you out. Clay Guida doesn't knock anybody out. He beats you with a pace, cardio, and wrestling and anti-jiu-jitsu. He can keep the fight striking and pick you apart in points. And that can be done here for Lauzon. Lauzon's coming off of his last 5 fights, lose one, win one, lose one, win one. And coming off of his last fight to Stevie Ray, a majority decision 6 months ago, Stevie Ray gave Lauzon everything he can't handle. Lauzon gassed horribly bad after that first round where he almost finished Ray. Prior to that, he won a split decision to Marcin Held, where Lauzon has come out himself and said, I lost that fight. Marcin Held out-wrestled me the whole time, but I know how decisions are. All credit due to Joe Lauzon, but that is the truth. I thought Held won that fight as well. Then prior to that, losing a split decision to Miller, also gas issues. And before that, knocking out Diego Sanchez. And then before that, losing a decision to Dunham. So the competition has been a little bit on the lighter side for Lauzon in my eyes. Guida is coming off of a win to Eric Koch in a decision, and then coming off of 2 losses to Brian Ortega in a fight he was winning, and also losing to Thiago Tavares. Is that the Thiago Tavares who's fighting at 170 now?
That's Brad. Are they the same person?
No.
Thiago?
No.
Brad Tavares is the one.
Yeah, but Thiago Tavares is a jiu-jitsu old school, like 37-year-old who's, Clay Guida will fight anybody. So, with Clay Guida, his chin's starting to go, his gas tank's starting to go a little bit.
I think the loser goes to Bellator. That's my guess on this fight.
Guida can stay, though, because he's coming off of a win. I feel like if Lauzon loses, he might be on the way out, but he has a big fan favorite.
They're very similar. This is going to be a bloody stand-up fighting match.
Right.
I think this could be the fight of the night. Both guys have been in too many wars in my eyes.
Agreed 100%.
Too many wars. Neither guy has ever had an easy victory.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Or loss, for that matter.
Yeah, or loss.
But I would say that Lauzon might have the easier ones because the fights that he won were Diego Sanchez, who's coming up later, and Marcin Held. Those are not Eric Koch. I'd say Eric Koch beats both of those fighters. I know MMA math doesn't really play, but I'm going with Guida on this. I know he's the underdog, but I see Guida winning a decision with takedowns and or keeping it up and just winning a point fight. If Guida's an underdog on DraftKings, all day.
This is the 8-1-8-1.
Oh, wait, 1. It's not a finish, though. So I'm going to say stay away from this. If it was like a 7,000 to 9,000, all day Clay Guida. But yeah, the price, I don't see the value.
I got
don't see
Guida
a finish.
decision.
Oh, woo, woo.
More so just because I see Joe Lozon falling out. I just don't see him as UFC caliber so much anymore. He's a tough fighter, okay to watch, but I'm just kind of, they're both 8-1. I don't see either of them being worth a ton of points, but if I'm going to see one maybe getting the finish, it's Guida. So I'm going to go with Guida decision right now.
Me too. Interesting. And he's on the betting lines. Oh, we don't have the betting lines up. I feel like he might be the underdog on that fight all the way around.
8-1 on DraftKings.
But I was wondering like the actual money lines. Either way, Rafael Assunção versus Matthew Lopez at 135 pounds is going to be our next fight on the main card. And Matthew Lopez coming in with a 10-1 record. His only loss coming in the UFC against Hani Yahya a year ago, where he gassed, then beating Mitch Gagnon as of late, and prior to that also John losing to again Yahya. But his last fight, Johnny Eduardo, was a TKO finish where we really saw Matthew Lopez striking and wrestling come all together. Really like this young man, but this might just be a bit of a big of a bite for him to take. Rafael Assunção has amazing takedown defense, one of the best in the UFC, is definitely a counter striker. He'll try to set you up so he can take your head off. Also a bit of finishing ability. Assunção has hurt many people, including the current champ. Nobody in there has ever said Rafael Assunção is an easy fight. Assunção's wrestling has always been undervalued. He definitely can wrestle with any D1 wrestler, and somebody who's unfortunately not going to make a run for the title at 35 years old. I think that he's the epitome of a gatekeeper for this division. Unfortunately for Lopez, he can't get past that gatekeeper right now. Assunção is though the gatekeeper of the top 5, essentially, instead of that top 10 or 15. But he is that. I don't see him making a run again, like I was saying, anytime soon. I do have a Assunção decision. I think it's a little bit too much all the way around for Lopez. I could see this being a high scorer for Lopez. Even I feel like he's going to be the underdog on DraftKings, and that would make a lot of sense for me. The finish could come.
Lopez 6-9, Rafael Assunção 9-3.
Yeah, that's.
Woo!
I see a decision in that fight.
I do too.
More than I see a finish.
A lot of weird scoring for even though I agree the guys are gonna win. Assunção, I just 9-3.
Yeah, how many people does he finish?
I think 69 points is what we're gonna see, somewhere around there. 68, 72. I just don't think he's gonna be worth. He might even be the highest scorer of the night. Or highest price guy of the night. So
yeah,
I just don't see any worth in that. I almost think going with Lopez for 6-9 might be the guy. Might be the guy you put on everything.
The wager gauge of value.
Yeah,
play.
I think he might be the value play of the day.
I would agree with that. I don't see the finish coming, and neither does Tapology. Tapology has 87% thinking it's going to be by mainly decision, and that's the way I see Assunção also getting this. So yeah, they just, for the value, he's going to be the one who's going to let you put everybody else and still get that 30 points that he would have got winning.
I do not see any value in Assunção for 9-3, even though I see him winning all day.
Yeah, agreed with that. Moving on to the next fight, we have a middleweight bout, 185 pounds, Nate the Great Marquardt versus Cesar Montanch Ferreira. The veteran, 38-year-old, the Great versus Montanch is 32 years old. The taller fighter by an inch is also going to be Montanch, but the reach is where there's the real discrepancy. And you have Ferreira with a 4-inch reach advantage at 78 inches to the 74. Genius Training Centers, Nate the Great. Ferreira's a Black Cillian's disciple fighting out of Boca Raton, coming in with an 11-6 record to Nate's 35, 18-2. Nate's coming off of a 2-fight losing streak to Vitor Belfort 4 months ago in a decision. Prior to that, losing a decision to Sam Alvey and winning to Tandem McCory in a TKO a year ago. Marquardt's definitely on the lower, or on the back 9 end of his career at 38 years old, especially at this division. Marquardt's also been a TRT exemption guy. So once on the juice, you can't afford to not get the squeeze anymore. As in, there's ways. He's definitely been affected post-USADA days. One of the fighters that you can really see his body has changed after the fact. Gas tanks really changed. But all the credentials are there. He has sneaky striking, good power, on the ground, a monster, a gorilla. Wrestling can take you down. Vieira is definitely a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu ace who fell in love with his striking and then found out that he didn't have a chin. Both of these guys, where they're at, their chins are pretty even, as in very lacking. Somebody with a good straight right or left can end either one of these fighters' fights. But Mutanch being the younger fighter and not so many miles on the tank, he's coming off of a loss to Elias Duradoa as of 8 months ago. And then having a 3-fight winning streak prior to that, beating Hermanson and Smith and Bamboje, but also getting a loss TKO punches to Masvidal. But of course that's going to happen, so we don't blame that. But that's all the chin on Mutanch. Unfortunately for Marquardt, again, as I've been saying, that age just plays too much of a factor. On the ground, Mutanch can hold his own. I don't think either one's going to submit each other. I just think the striking, even though Marquardt's better, I think he's going to be slower to the punch. So Mutanch could maybe outstrike him there. But this could be a CB Dalloway versus Nate Marquardt, where you're seeing Marquardt turtle up because he's about to be finished, and CB runs in both hands down, gets clipped, and goes night-night. This could happen this fight because both of these guys' chins. Either way. So I have Ferreira decision. I might even go for a finish, but this is kind of a stay away for me. If not, play Marquardt a little bit.
And this is, wait till I tell you the numbers, and then you're going to say, yeah, play Nate a little. Ferreira 9-1, Marquardt 7-1.
Oh.
Isn't those weird numbers?
Yeah.
Like, I see Ferreira winning, but only by a little, not by $2,000. So, very interesting. I got Ferreira decision purely because I just see Nate withering away with age out of the UFC caliber of fighting, but I've never seen Mutanch or Cesar really step up to that caliber yet.
Agreed.
So I'm like, if you're going to get clipped and knocked out by a guy, Nate's still got that power all day. Last thing to go. So it actually makes me worry. I don't see Ferrara really finishing. I do see him winning by decision. I could see Nate getting that weird knockout.
Right? So
you could have the weird knockout card tonight.
Interesting. So moving on to the next fight, we have a heavyweight bout between Andre the Pitbull Arlovsky versus Junior Albini, Baby Albini. Baby Albini's coming in with a 14-2 record to the former UFC champs 25-15-0 record, coming out of Belarus, fighting out of Chicago, Illinois. 38-year-old Winklejohn disciple. Andre Arlovsky is a monster of a man. I've got to roll with him before, and it is unreal that he goes in there and looks like a small fighter compared to other people that I've seen before. Definitely had a lifelong career, was a Sambo champ, has been in mixed martial arts. His chin, also, everybody has said his chin's been gone for a long time. And if you look at his record, he's coming off of a 5-fight losing streak. So Andre Arlovsky's been kept around in there because the UFC heavyweight division has been so lacking that he's a name and they can just make money off of it, but it doesn't matter about his personal wellness. Or is it that Andre Arlovsky knows how to do nothing else but fight? But the 5-fight losing streak was last broken. Instead of him being finished by submission or TKO, he actually was decisioned by Marcin Tarbura, who is a young and up-and-coming fighter. Gave Andre Arlovsky everything he could handle. Andre Arlovsky is just slowed down incredibly. Power's the last thing to go. Everything's pretty much gone, including the chin for Andre. And Albini, being the younger fighter at 26 to the 38-year-old, he's also going to be even in height and have a 3-inch reach discrepancy against 77 inches for Arlovsky to 74. For Albini, Albini's coming out of Astra Fight Team. Great Muay Thai. Definitely came into the UFC with one of the best stories after knocking out Timothy Johnson, which a lot of people didn't see coming, myself included. Albini showed that his Muay Thai and takedown defense are good. He lands amazing body shots. As a 26-year-old heavyweight, he, to me, looks like he could be a 185er. Baby is the perfect nickname for him because he looks like he's got baby fat all over him. He just hasn't filled out. I really just could see him really moving down, but he's got humongous legs, and you could see that he really hurt Johnson with a lot of leg kicks and knees coming right up the middle.
And we don't think Johnson's the walkthrough that a lot of people
by
do.
any means whatsoever. I've really been on a pretty good hype train with Timmy Johnson, and he's really proven me wrong. So, with the power last being to go, the way that Albini's been able to finish most of his fights is with his leg and body attack. That's how he usually opens up the head to land elbows or straight punches. His Muay Thai is really good. A really deceiving thing with Baby Albini is that he looks like he should be beat up on the schoolyard, like some jock is going to go kick his ass like Andrei Arlovsky, and all of a sudden, he's going to get tuned up. I have Albini TKO round 1. It's more playing Arlovsky's fade, the lack of chin, and Albini just using him as a stepping stone to be like, oh, now I have a win over a former belt holder, which everybody has been doing for the last 10 years for Andrei Arlovsky, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's exactly.
What do you think goes on in this fight?
Yeah, I'm just giving Andre a little more credit with Albini KO round 2, and I see it coming with some gnarly elbows against the cage. I see the hype train building for Albini. I by no means think he is a Ngannou yet. I see it building. I think this is a good way to get his name in the map, make people start to notice. Beating Timothy Johnson isn't a way to make people notice. Beating Andrei Arlovsky, however, is. So I think this is the fight that everyone's going to act like, oh, I knew this shit. Albini's my boy. He's my new favorite fighter. He's going to be the hype train after this. I think it's going to be a nasty knockout, and that'll be the gif after
What's
this
the
MMA.
DK lines on these guys?
These guys right now are Albini at 8-9 and Arlovsky 9-3. You put Albini on our card?
I put Albini on a lot of cards. I'm going to play him heavy on. Yeah. He's definitely.
All right. Baby. Have you seen Baby Driver?
Not yet. Is it any good?
No. Everybody, you know what? Here's the funny thing I think is, though, no one believes in this kid, and everyone can't stand him because they all think he's too young to drive well, except one man. One man believes in him, Kevin Spacey.
I've seen
Baby Driver.
Or I've seen posters with Kevin Spacey.
Creepy Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, his face on it now with like someone with like a pacifier in their mouth.
He's creeps. Anyway.
Creeps. Bill, spoiler alert.
Yeah. Here's two fighters who shouldn't be fighting in the UFC anymore.
Moving on to
co-main event.
Co-main event retirement fight for the immortal Matt Brown against Diego. What is it? The Daydream Lionheart Sanchez. It should be more nicknames than any other fighter. Sanchez. Moving up, the 35-year-old to 170 pounds. Diego Sanchez is going to be 5'10" to 6 foot. 36-year-old Immortal Brown. The reach advantage is going to go to Immortal with 76 inches to Diego Sanchez 72. Sanchez is coming out of Jackson Winklejohn, and Matt Brown is also at that TJ Dillashaw elevation Ludwig team. We know what we're getting with both of these fighters. Grinding wrestler with a body attack. Oh, yeah.
You aren't going to believe this.
Move it.
Most expensive fighter of the night. Matt Brown at 9'4". What the fuck?
Oh. Matt Brown specifically called out a guy who's been fighting at 155 pounds. A guy who we have seen have more split decisions go his way than any other fighter in the history of the sport. Diego Sanchez is on more bad upset calls than anybody else, and usually loses those fights. Notorious for being a brawler, being untechnical, and his best attribute is his heart and his gas tank. Matt Brown has power, has elusive striking. His chin can still hold up somewhat. He's got
soft
good takedown
body.
frames. That was what I was about to say. We all know Matt Brown's body is the number one thing that you hit to get him down, but does Diego Sanchez have the power?
Or does he care? He has no game plan anytime
he brawls,
he's in there.
Why Matt Brown called out Diego Sanchez. Because he said, hey, I'm willing to fight that guy at 170. Okay, let's make that bout. Again, I just give the size to Matt Brown. I give it all. I think Matt Brown's doing the right thing. If anything, this should be a double retirement.
Double retirement.
For both of these fighters. I just don't want to see Diego Sanchez hurt himself anymore. If there's somebody that you can see has started to slur and slow down his speech and even change his fight style because it's not there. That next gear isn't for there.
And Matt Brown is saying he might want to fight more after this.
Oh, he's already saying this?
Yes, he's already saying it.
Why didn't he say retirement fight then?
I don't know.
Just to coax Sanchez to fight him at 170 because Sanchez is like, okay, I'll give you a retirement fight. Let's do it. And then he's like, wait. I can have a win because he's coming off of a last
3 losses in a row.
Right. And they've been pretty devastating to Donald Cerrone.
I didn't know Matt Brown fought at Elevation. Is that an always?
That just happened because that Elevation fight team is the TJ Dillashaw because that Dwayne Ludwig team fell apart, but for this last camp. So it's like about a year old.
But Dwayne and TJ left and went to California and started their own gym.
No, TJ did. Dwayne goes there partially to do the striking there, but it's like everyone says 3 or 4 days a week, which everybody really says it's like once a month then. Like those are the real odds come from that guy's history of...
Okay.
Yeah. But TJ just...
So does Matt Brown fight with the new ladies champ? Rose Namajunas? Does she fight at Elevation?
Maybe I'm getting the camps mixed up.
No, I think you're right. I think Elevation was...
I thought Elevation's in... that camp is in Southern California, where TJ moved it to.
Oh, I thought Elevation was in Colorado. But I could be totally wrong.
I think there's a few of them. That's what I'm thinking is I'm getting them confused as well. There's so many other ones. But either way,
this is a sketchy. I don't think Matt Brown's worth 9
at
all. I do think he's going to win. I don't think it's going to be by knockout. I think this is going to be a crazy fight. Both fighters are going to get hurt. Both are going to be bloody and battered. I don't see Diego having the strength to knock Matt Brown out. Yep. And I haven't seen Matt Brown do anything scary in the ring in so long. I can't fathom that it's there even for Diego Sanchez. So I could even see this being a Diego Sanchez decision victory.
Which is disgusting that you even said that. That's horrible. So, I got Matt Brown decision just with his size. Right now, but no way you put him at Brown anywhere on that card. All right, going on to the main event, we have a lightweight bout, 155 pounds, Dustin Diamond Poirier versus Anthony Showtime Pettis. Former champion in Pettis and title contender Poirier is coming off of a illegal knee or a no contest to Eddie Alvarez.
He got hit in the head with the illegal knee by Eddie.
Right. And then prior to that, beating Jim Miller and losing to Michael Johnson in a TKO. Prior to that, also beating people like Joe Duffy and a few other guys. Anthony Pettis coming off of his last win to Miller in a decision as well. Prior to that, losing to Max Holloway TKO. And prior to that, also beating Charles Oliveira in a submission. The 30-year-old former champion is also going to be the taller fighter at 5'10 to 5'9 Poirier. But the reach advantage is going to go to Poirier by an inch with 73-inch reach advantage. We know what we're getting with both of these fighters. American top team Dustin Poirier is all the way around, got a southpaw with heavy power in that left hand. He stuns people, hurts people all the way around. His wrestling has always been underrated. He has good takedowns and on the ground can control a lot of people. He also has a very sneaky triangle that comes out of nowhere and has caught many people. Dustin Poirier is also a longtime fighter that doesn't break in that octagon often. There's not a fight that I've ever seen him, even if he's losing, just completely give up in there.
He was murking Eddie Alvarez before the illegal knee.
Yeah, and I just really like the way that Diamond Poirier at 28 years old has been handling his career being a top team. Somebody who coming out of Louisiana. Anthony Pettis is somebody who is a Taekwondo specialist, a submission specialist, and actually has really sneaky takedowns. The only thing with Pettis is that he is semi-brittle or injurable. Everybody said he was the next coming of MMA Jesus, and now people are saying that about a baby Pettis more than anything because Anthony Pettis' career has been kind of spotty. Went on a 3-fight losing streak, lost to people he shouldn't have, and sometimes the mental game plays a part of it, but he just does tend to get injured. He's broken his hand multiple times in fights, dislocated shoulders, just had really unfortunate things happen. A body shot, as much as he's knocked out people, Anthony Pettis has with body shots, a little vulnerable to the body.
I agree. Soft mid.
Yeah, I feel like I've definitely seen it's hard to get there, but if you can get there, it's definitely something that affects Anthony Pettis. And if we see it, Poirier and Team Alpha Male, or top team, American top team.
Poirier's the slight underdog right now.
So, Anthony Pettis also is very, with that Taekwondo style, switches his stance constantly, which I could see giving Poirier a very scared and pulled back technique. The worst thing that Poirier want to do is blitz the former champion Pettis. I think that the wrestling, this is going to turn into a ground match, and Pettis is better on the ground, but Poirier's wrestling, anti-wrestling or anti-jiu-jitsu is much better than people like to let on. I think Poirier has the power advantage, even though the variety of strikes to be able to be finished come from Pettis. Pettis can throw crazier shit than Poirier can, but Poirier can land the harder shots to me, other than those mid-body kicks that Pettis is notorious for really hurting people. I got the underdog in this. I like Dustin Poirier in a decision. I think he can turn this into a grimy fight, and that's where Anthony Pettis tends to really start to lack, is in those longer fights. He can go 5 rounds, but the person in their career that I feel I'm more comfortable in going 5 rounds hard and winning decisions right now, Dustin Diamond Poirier. Give me the underdog.
I think that's our Leslie Smith underdog pick of the week then, because it's easy for me to pick Dustin in this fight. I think he is an underrated fighter. I think he handedly was beating Eddie Alvarez until the illegal knee. Anthony Pettis has been overrated as long as I've been watching, which has only been for the last 4 years. I have yet to see Showtime, what everyone used to talk about. I've watched old videos. I know it's there. I don't think it's there anymore. I think whatever it was with all that stuff, people have figured it out, and now that same thing. Yeah, so, and all that stuff now gets him into trouble. And Dustin Poirier, I don't see too many holes in his game. And I just don't see Anthony Pettis having that mindset of that round 5 mindset anymore. And I do see Dustin Poirier having it. I have Dustin Poirier, technical knockout round 4, and I just think it's a gritty grind that never lets up, and eventually it breaks Pettis. I don't think he's cleanly knocked out, but I think he's done.
I think we're reciprocating.
I think he throws in the towel, and I think you put Dustin Poirier everywhere.
Where are the DraftKings lines on that?
8-2 for Pettis, 8 even for Poirier.
Yeah, I like Poirier in that.
Yeah, so I went ahead and put him on our card.
So what's our card look like so far? Have we filled it with all 6 slots yet?
We have. I want to know what you think about it. Right now our card is Albini.
All right.
Nina Ostenarov.
Value play.
Fortuna.
Okay, I can see that.
Sage Northcutt.
Yeah.
Dustin Poirier.
Yeah.
And Sean Strickland. And that is the Lesbo and The Bean card, I think, this week.
I like it. Definitely going to make some money.
I think you guys have to remember to like and subscribe wherever you're finding this. If you can't find it, or if you're looking, go to lesboandthebean.com, and always follow us on Twitter for the latest breaking news at Lesbo and The Bean.